first of all, you have seen things that we could be more efficient in, and you have helped us in that way. We'll talk about this in a minute, but we have the project management tool now, which is just a dream. So I really want to recommend that to other lady bosses out there who maybe are a couple years behind where we are and are not ready for an EA. So what can you do? What resource can you use? And a project management tool is great. We'll talk about ours in a minute. But one thing you mentioned was that organizing the mail brought you joy, right?
Yeah.
and this is important because it's so important to delegate and so important to have structure and boundaries. Otherwise, what used to bring you joy will no longer, and I have to be very careful of that myself, because in the beginning of doing this work, I volunteered just teaching a couple classes at Los Angeles Fire Department and guest teaching at LAPD. And oh my God, I would just get so jived up for it. Now, as CEO of Yoga for First Responders, it has other rewards to it, but I don't think a lot of people realize this, I'm at my desk 8 to 10 hours a day. And I teach now about 1 to 2 hours a week, sometimes longer if I have a training demo like I do on Wednesday. The original intent for me was to not sit at a desk all day, but that's what this has developed into. So if I want to keep the joy surrounding this work, that I obviously need help, So I think that's, if for anyone, I'm kind of speaking, if I'm referring to mindful leadership here, to mindfully be a leader, you have to keep sacred, what do I need to do to stay joyful in this? Otherwise, you might as well just be working at Starbucks. Starbucks may bring people joy too, right? I actually know a friend who climbed the ladder in Starbucks from barista all the way up. So, but what I mean is you might as well just go get sort of a 9-to-5 job that you don't care about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think if you have a heart for people, it can be even trickier in being kind of this, service industry where you love helping others, but to best help others, you need to first make sure that you are helping yourself and that you are in a healthy state, because otherwise you won't survive.
No, it's not sustainable. I think that's the key word, is sustainability. That's why we brought you on, is the level in which I was working was not sustainable for me personally or professionally, and one thing I was looking for, so if you're a lady boss out there looking for an EA or a VA, what I was looking for was someone who was going to go beyond a checklist, which is what you do. So if I gave you like, hey, work on these 10 items, it can't just be did that. What you do that I love is, how is this item affecting other things that Olivia may not realize? Like, I scheduled something, and you even, because you have access to my calendar, you even said, like, you scheduled a doctor appointment and a massage on the day you're going to fly to Des Moines. Like, and I didn't realize that because I'm doing 10 billion other things. So that's just an example of, hey, just FYI, this is going to affect this. This is going to affect this. And you're looking at the bigger picture. And I kind of call it, I was talking to Chris Johnson on our team when we were looking for a good executive assistant. I said, I need a Mary Poppins. I need someone who's going to like take care of me and make sure I don't fall, and one of the things you do, which is great, is you kind of check in with me before travel, because I'm focusing on, like you said, you want to help me focus on the work. What I want to focus on is doing a great training demo for a fire department or police department. I don't want to worry about, did I check in? Did this happen? Where's my gate? Like, and it seems like small stuff, but that gives the brain capacity to focus on our mission,
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I appreciate about you from my perspective. So you have other clients you mentioned besides YFFR. It's hard to believe. I feel like we're the only one, but that's actually something, I have to think of too, as I am in the position myself of boss, I'm also your client, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to remember that you were not your only client. I want to make sure I do that. I notice in a few things that you've mentioned about the other clients you have that they kind of all have a similar thread of wellness to them. If someone that's listening is interested in being a virtual assistant, is that something that you recommend? That, I mean, is that something you were looking for, that your client had a certain, their mission was similar, or is it something you're passionate about, or can it be something you have nothing to do with, you don't care, you're just going to do the social media post regardless?
Yeah, that's kind of a debate that actually goes around in the different virtual assistant networks that I'm part of is, do you need to find your niche or not? And most people say yes. I don't think it's necessary, but I do think that it is beneficial. For me personally, because I have my doctorate in physical therapy, that is how I got connected with my first two clients, is because they actually are women's health physical therapists, which is what I did. It helps provide me with kind of a better understanding of what they're going through, as well as with creating material. I think it makes me a better fit than a different marketing firm. In fact, I'm talking with a personal training gym in the Santa Barbara area right now, and their trainers have gone through some training that I, as a physical therapist, went through, and they said that that's why they were really like pleased with me, and why they were really thinking about going with me, who's just a single businesswoman, versus a true big marketing firm, because I have that better understanding. I'm not, just looking at marketing as a whole, but instead I truly have a connection with their business. There are certain, there are certain tasks that I actually have started to delegate out to another independent contractor, but those things I all oversee, and she is a teacher, so it's something that is a different profession. However, she also has worked with some sports teams and has kind of that wellness background that I think provides that additional connection, knowledge, background, as well as it's just something I'm passionate about. Starting out, I thought I was only going to work 10 hours a week, find one client, and then that would be it, just make a little extra money. But as I got into it, it's truly has been something that I have found joy in, and we keep coming back to this word joy, but it's true. And I sit at home on my computer a lot of the time, but I just feel like it really fills my cup, and that I can then better partake in other activities, because I am still involved in the health world. I'm still making a difference, even though I'm just replying to emails or scheduling meetings, making a social media post. So I no longer have that personal contact, but I still see I'm making a difference by allowing other people to make a difference.
That's a great way of putting that, because I don't think people even realize how every single role we have is really influencing the mission in a major way. And I remember saying that when we brought interns on, I'm like, you might just feel like you're an intern, but you're moving this thing forward, because I couldn't do my work if I didn't have someone, moving it along. And here's the catch-22 about being good at what you are, which you are. And you alluded to this a second ago. You thought you were going to be working 10 hours a week. You're obviously working more than that. You have more clients, more coming on. Soon you are going to be overcommitted, just like I have become overcommitted, and trying to delegate that and trying to navigate it. What's your system now when you, like, because you mentioned, having some help, and I have to trust, just like people who are corresponding with me in email, they have to trust me and you, and trust you that you're going to get they're going to get the same response and message as if it were coming from me, right? You're my avatar. So as your client, I have to trust that if you had to delegate something out to an independent contractor, because that person's working for you, I know the same qualities is going to be there, and it's going to be high. So what's your system when this starts to happen?
Yeah, I think communication is key. And when I was kind of thinking, okay, can I take on another client? then I had to step back and, you know, have that conversation with my family of, okay, what will this look like? You know, if I take on somebody else, how many hours will I be dedicating of my time towards other clients versus how much time am I dedicating towards myself? I am someone who did not have good boundaries a few years ago, and it was really hard for me. And a lot of it was just with like families and friends. And I have, sorry, you probably
that's Hugo. It's okay. He's part of this. He's part of the interview. This is the joys of working from home, everybody. I have my dog and cat locked in the office, you know, or in the other office. So this is part of being flexible and going with the flow. So continue. So you didn't have the best boundaries a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so I didn't have the best boundaries, and that was part of what caused some concern while I was doing physical therapy. Is I got very invested with my clients that I was seeing and my patients, and I actually read a book about, you know, establishing boundaries and kind of setting those up of, you know, we talked about sustainability and how you only have so much time in the day and you can only do so much. So what are you going to dedicate that time to? Versus what are things that take up your time that somebody else could do with the same, if not better results. So just like I say, you know, I do the small, sometimes they're small, sometimes they're bigger, but I take care of kind of those daily tasks for a business owner so that then they can focus on the things that either they enjoy or that only they can do. And I have found the need to find somebody else that then can do that for me before I take on somebody else. And learning the power of no. And people don't like to hear no, but sometimes you have to tell them no. And just know that you can control what you do. You can control what you feel, but you cannot control other people. And that's going to happen. You know, no matter what we do, not everybody's going to be happy.
That's such a good point. And the power of no, I hear that a lot. And I think we're told to be empowered to say no. Mm-hmm. But then what might be a better way to say it, right? Because I think this is the thing is when we say no, it's not because we don't like you or you're not important to us. Yes. Maybe it's a not now versus a no, you know, just based on time and what's mm-hmm. going on. Like I told you before we started recording, there was another business owner that uses the word, I'm overcommitted right now. And that's really what it is there's literally only 24 hours in the day. There is literally no time, you know? So how can someone say no that's better than just no? And like you said, no matter how we say it, someone's going to be unhappy with us, you know? And so you're finding basically an assistant for you. And what kind of things would you give that person and how do you ensure that the quality is, because at the end of the day, it's your name on it, right? So how are you going to ensure that they're going to represent you well? And how many people do you have doing that for you now?
Right now, I just started this past week with one person. I've worked with one person before that. And I think I just keep coming back to the communication and knowing, okay, this is what I need you to do. And so some of the things that I'm delegating right now are the things that don't take as much brain power, I want to say. Maybe there's a better word to describe that, but it's more like I'm giving them something that I can give specific tasks that I can say, okay, this is specifically what I need you to do, have it all written out. There's a very SOP for how to get it done. Can you do these sorts of things? So whether it's like graphic design stuff, I'll be like, okay, this is the theme. This is the brand colors. These are, the fonts, stuff like that. Can you create stuff for me? And then before that goes online, I receive it, I look it over, and then I post it. So it's still taking my time, but where before it would take, we'll say 5 hours of my time, now it's taking 15, 30 minutes of my time to review it and then get it posted. And, just communicating with them, going over stuff, allowing that person to say, hey, I don't understand this, but then also letting my clients know I'm only going to give you what's best. Like, it is my name on it. And there has been a client that I have said, a potential client that I've said, I'm not the best fit for you. Mm-hmm. If you need help, I can help you find somebody else. But knowing from the get-go, like, not saying yes to something that in the end isn't the best for both people. It wasn't the best for me, but it also wasn't the best for the client. And explaining that to them, that for the greater good, I have to tell you no. And that's okay.
What's the balance between coaching, like when someone doesn't know and let me coach you and train you, versus I don't think you're the right fit? I know that's probably a complex question, but I know that I've been caught in the cycle of, let me just coach them, let me give them another chance. Because here's another thing, which kind of is a bigger picture of even having to choose who's representing us and as a YFR teacher, and is enthusiasm only gets you so far, right? So when does enthusiasm stop, coaching that and directing that enthusiasm, and just like, you know what, I just don't think your brain's working the way my brain is? And I don't really know even how you would answer that, but do you have anything to contribute to that thought?
I think it's different for every situation. And I'm a very black and white person, so gray areas are not my comfort zone. However, learning how to, know when it is time to let go, or maybe it's not even time to let go of the person and say, hey, sorry, you're not a good fit, like, cut ties, but instead say, hey, I don't think this is the best benefit, coming back to that greater good. However, is there a different area in which we can use you? Knowing if something they have done is like, you're enthusiastic about this, we appreciate that. However, you're actually, if you would say, like, you're harming, the company, but they kind of need to cut ties if they are, causing other issues, versus if they're just not best fit for where they're at, there's a good chance they're actually not happy. Even if they have enthusiasm for it, they want to help, but they're not happy in that area. So finding a better fit for them.
That's a great point. It's typically both, what do you call it? A two-sided street? What do you call that? A two-way street? Two-way street. That's what it is. It typically is. And I found this too. If you're not happy with someone's work, they're probably not happy in their position, and you're both kind of trying to fake it to make it. So it's really putting the person in the right role and the right seat,